Well, today, making a little road trip. Going to take about an hour drive up north. Going to go to just an absolutely pristine area up on the St. Lawrence River. The goal for today is to try to figure it out. Try to figure out where the fish are, whether we're talking smallmouth or largemouth, and then we're looking for a limit. So let's see what happens. So I ended up slipping off into this little bay, and I found some lily pads. This was in the heat of the day where the sun was beating down pretty good. So I saw the shade underneath the lily pads. Nice. So I took a Cinco and I put some scent on it, and I said, well, I'll just throw it on the edge of these lily pads. If there's something underneath this cover, underneath this canopy here, they'll come out. They'll be able to, if they don't see it, they'll be able to smell it, and they'll come out after it. Yeah. Sure enough, I mean within a second, boom, one hit it, and I was like, oh man, okay, now we're in an area where there's some fish. Okay, now we can do something. So I ended up just trying to find holes, in the lily pads, little different areas, and I'd drop a worm in there. I'd drop a Cinco in there, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. These aren't big largemouth, but they're all largemouth, and it was just fun catching them. And it just felt good to catch something. Then we had, then the weather started getting goofy on me.
I can't believe that.
I saw a big storm coming, and there was a little bit of lightning and thunder, so I said, you know what, let's call it a day. Tomorrow looks like it's going to be, low winds. I'm going on the lakes tomorrow. Could I ask you to do something? Could I ask you to share this video and promote this YouTube channel? The media, right? TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of that, they don't endorse or promote Christian content. This has been very clear to me since I've gotten involved in this YouTube thing. But we've proven that we the people still run this country through our last election, didn't we? We got a non-politician in the White House. That's pretty awesome. So I think our next battle is against the media. We're heavily influenced by the media. And as people, we're easily influenced. We can see that when our kids go over to someone's house for a couple of days or a week or something. Then they come home and they're acting completely different. And you look at them and you say, what in the world are you doing? So if you think about, we're sitting in front of a TV for hours every day, or we're on our smartphone for half the day, every single day, for years. How do we think that we're getting influenced by that? It wasn't long ago when you could find at least one good, wholesome TV show on TV. But you know what? They're all gone. They're not there anymore. I don't understand if God is involved in every single aspect of our life, okay? He cares about everything and he's everywhere. Why he can't be involved, and when I'm watching a sports show, why I can't hear somebody say something about God? Why I can't watch a comedy TV show and just have some Christian morals in there, or why I can't watch a hunting and fishing show and hear about the Bible? I don't get it, And I think we need to make a stand and say, you know what, we're taking back our kids. We wonder, this is the media is responsible for a huge portion of why this country is as crazy as it is right now. We need to do something about it, man. So we need to do the legwork on this YouTube stuff. They're not going to do it. So I'm asking, can you help me? And can you share this video?
Here's day 2, and look at the boat launch. I mean, the water was busy. Decided to drive right out into the middle of the lake. You know, there's a big island out there. It's called Glue Island, and it's known as a real hot spot for smallies. You know, and that's what I was looking for, was smallies. And I fished out around this island for probably 2.5 hours, and I didn't even see a fish. I was getting frustrated. Finally, I ended up running into one. You know, I think it was probably about a 2 or 3 maybe.
Absolute perfection. And he's dark. Look at him, dark. He's been living in the shadows. Decided to run back towards the land. You know, the wind was picking up, it was getting a little bit choppy. So I ran back into the shallows looking for rock, you know. And as soon as I got there, I happened to hit a couple decent little smallies that were hanging out around rock, you know. So again, it was just nice to start catching some fish, you know, to build up my confidence, you know, and remind myself that I can catch a fish. I ended up, this one here is a smaller one. There was 3 or 4 fish in the area, and I ended up catching the small one. The other 3 were these great, big, nice, dark fish, and I tried to catch them for over an hour. I tried everything under the sun. They would not bite. I figured somebody had already caught them that morning, you know, but I finally got this one. And he fought forever. I had to get him in the boat, and then I almost lost him while he was in the boat. I mean, he did not like me one bit. I finally ended up getting him. You know, and then before we went home, I ended up finding a big boulder somewhere, you know, and I think it was my second cast. You know, it just was one of those precision casts. I saw a big rock and a small rock. I threw it right in between it, and there was a big one. Boo-boo number 1, I didn't get the net out. Got a monster on the line here. A good one. Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. Holy crap. I had this thing just barely in the corner of the mouth, man. Look at the size of that thing. Look at the colors on this bugger, man. That is a beautiful, for this time of year, that is a killer smallmouth. Have you ever prayed for something and God told you no? I believe it's happened to everyone, you know, and the reason why I say that is because His ways are higher than our ways. You know, just like I believe that my ways are higher than a young child's. If I had a young boy around and he saw a motorcycle drive by, he might say, I want a motorcycle. And I would say, you want a motorcycle? You don't even know how to ride a bike. No. You know, isn't it really ignorant of us to believe that God is going to agree and condone the ideas that we come up with, because His ways are higher than our ways. You know, looking at this, you know, I was reminded that Jesus lived to be 33 years old. You know, and you put that into perspective of the times back then. You know, life was much harder, way more physical, dangerous, the medications and stuff. I mean, life expectancy back then wasn't that long, you know, but still, 33 years old is pretty young. we get this idea that every person that's born is supposed to live to 80, 90, 100 years old. But that isn't always God's purpose and plan. Look at the Son of God. We can't deny that he had a purpose and a plan. God had a purpose and a plan for his life. You know what I mean? And it ended at 33 years old. Well, if I was to die today, there might be somebody who's heavily impacted by this in a positive way. I die, I'm on my way to heaven, right? I just upgraded. But this could have a positive impact on somebody and turn them around. And then now suddenly they're going to heaven. See, this could be God's purpose and plan. One of God's purposes and plans for my life. Of course, it can have a negative impact also, and somebody might say, "Why, God? Why? Why?" Well, I can tell you why. Because his ways are higher than our ways. If you're looking to get a lot of yeses from God, I can tell you one sure way to get that, and that's to be in his will, to pray in his will. The prayers that end up in heaven are usually the ones that originate there, right? His will. Jesus was always praying in God's will, right? We know that on the cross he said, God, if you can take this cup away from me, please do it, but not my will, your will be done. I don't think this was something that just kind of slipped off from Jesus's lips, and it was a one-time prayer. I believe that he prayed this way all the time. And there's many times that he stepped away from the apostles, and they knew sometimes that he was going to pray. We don't know what he was praying about. I believe that he was seeking God's will. He was always looking to find out, to learn what God's will was, what his next step was. This should be the quest of our life, to know God's will for us, God's will for humanity, God's overall will, and when we pray that, you're going to get a lot of yeses when you pray like that. I might be praying for my kids, and I have a plan. I have a plan mapped right out for their lives, and Lord, do this and do that, I've got it planned right out. But not only do my kids say no, God says, no, you know what? I've got a plan. I've got a plan for their life. Or let's say I give somebody some great advice and they just decide not to take it. They just say no, Are you someone that can be told no? Can people tell you no? Or when you hear no, do you start finding ways to make it go your way? Do you start manipulating things? Do you start manipulating people? Because you can't be told no. That's not a great place to be.